I finally decided I went to, this was after a divorce and after the birth of my son. I was 21 at the time. I was living in Louisiana. I moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and I started going to Mid-South there, with Jerry Lawler,
Right.
Bill Dundee, and all those guys, Troy Graham, the Dream Machine. And I started going there, and I watched their shows, and I found that there was a school. Well, I had a roommate, his name is Sweet Daddy Bobby Lyons, who was a wrestler, and another girlfriend of mine, her name is Diane Spencer. And we were putting all our money together and then having a nice apartment and everything. So unbeknownst to Bobby, my roommate, who was a wrestler at the time, unbeknownst to him, I snuck behind his back and I went to a school that Butch Moore had in Memphis. And I went in there with $500 in my hand. And I walked in his office. I mean, this was this great big old burly looking guy, bleachy blonde hair. Somebody you definitely didn't want to meet on a back street.
Huh.
I went to his office, introduced myself, and told him that I wanted to learn how to wrestle. He got up from behind the desk, come around, and looked right in front of me, looked into my eyes, and he slapped the living hell out of me. And at that point, I looked at him and I said, "Is that all you've got?"
Wow.
He signed me up, and it's all history after that.
Now, how did you get hooked up with Moolah?
Moolah. I had went to Grizzly Smith when I was 16 years old. And
Who was Jake Roberts' father?
Yeah, he was Jake Roberts' father and Rockin' Robin's father and Sam Houston's
Right.
father. Well, everybody knows who Grizzly Smith
Right.
is, right? I mean, this ain't nothing new. So I go to Grizz when I was 16 years old, and I told him I wanted to learn how to wrestle. He told me to come back when I was 21. I said, okay. So went back out. At this point in time, had things, I got married, had my son, moved to Memphis and everything. I said, well, if I'm ever going to go back and talk to him, at least I thought if I had some training under my belt, he would take me more seriously, because I felt at that point in time that they weren't. Because everybody's conception of lady wrestlers is because they're trying to get in a guy's pants, which is so far from the truth. I mean, we are not all here to service men. Women are on this earth to achieve as much as they possibly can. And as far as I was concerned, I didn't really care that it was a male-dominated business, because at that point when I went into that training in Memphis and I took that first slap in the face, threw my money down and signed that contract, I didn't care what they threw me. I didn't care how male-dominated it was. I was going to succeed in this. I had my love and my addiction to wrestling had started at that point.
How did you meet Moolah?
Moolah. Oh wait, I didn't finish telling you the story. But
exactly.
I went in and I told Grizz, and I asked him to have breakfast with me, and he told me, come back when I was 21. So I called. We happened to be at the same hotel, same town, and I heard he was there, and I was really, really serious at this point, and believed that it was in Memphis when I did that, and got him come down, and we had coffee, and I said, well, I've got a year of training under my belt. I know that this is what I want to do. I am very sincere. I came to you at 16. You told me to come back at 21. I threw my driver's license out at him. I said, I'm 21 now. I'm ready. I have a son. I'm divorced. I said, this is what I want to do. And he says, you're sure? I said, yeah. And he says, why? I said, because I think that I can be the best person that I possibly can be. This is the career that I want. And he said, okay. He went back up to his room, but an hour later came back down and told me when I was to report to the Fabulous Moolahs wrestling camp.
What were your initial impressions of Moolah when you first met her?
Intimidation. A lot of intimidation. I mean, I felt like, this was not so much a mother figure, an authoritative figure. And so that made me respect her, not only because of the way that she was to me, but because of the history that she had in the wrestling business before. So I figured that if I was going to make it in this business and I got through her camp, then there was nothing that was going to stop me.
What was her camp like?
Her camp was Moolah's camp. Okay. If you've ever been to Columbia, South Carolina, you drive into the gates. I mean, it's a great big old place. There's 2 lakes on either side with a road going down the center. And there were little cottages up that we lived at, that all the girls that were training lived at. And even when we weren't training, I mean, our training continued. It never stopped. Okay?
Right.
I mean, even for the girls that had been in the business years, everybody trained 7 o'clock in the morning. That means if you went out the night before, and guarantee you remember this, most of the girls that start out wrestling, they're young girls in their 20s, and they're still full of piss and vinegar, and they're invincible. And sometimes they forget that when they go out at night, you can't get up as early and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as you like. So you had to become accustomed to being able to train from 7 a.m. to 12, sometimes all day long. Then you had your regular jobs that you did, and from there, you just did what Lillian told you.
Now, what was the training like as far as bumping and what was some of the stuff you had to go through?
Oh, God, no. She used to drill us. Oh, God, she'd drill us. And I was coming in, and she had me out as a baby face first. And that was really good. So, therefore, as a baby face, I was learning to more take. And, I was giving as well. But I was more taking everyone because it was a bit stronger and I was a bit taller than everyone else. But as far as the training, she had us do her and Donna Christanello. And I remember the little midget girl, Katie.
Right.
Little midget Katie. Yeah, Katie would come out there occasionally. But it was Donna Christanello and Lillian. They would drill us and drill us and drill us. They would make us take bumps on top of bumps on top of bumps. But the thing, after we got all that together, she'd line up all of us up in the ring and she'd look at us and said, "Now, what did you accomplish taking all of those bumps?" A sore body. And she says, "No. What you learn taking all those bumps is that you do one right the first time and it has meaning. That way you don't have to do 20 or 30 bumps. It's not what you do, it's the quality and what you do it and what it means to the match."
What was the best advice Moolah ever gave you?
Save your money and stay away from the boys. Don't go out with the boys. Don't date the boys. Keep your private life separate from the wrestling business. That way you'll go a lot further.
Wow. Now, once you started working, were you prepared for the sexual harassment that came with the job?
I can't really say that there was a lot of sexual harassment. I can't speak for anyone else. I can speak for myself. I didn't have any problems with sexual harassment. I mean, the guys, once they saw that I was sincere and everything, I can't remember a time when one of the boys sexually harassed me in any way, shape, or form. That goes from Vince, AWA, NWA. I mean, anywhere I've gone, Japan, right. It doesn't matter. I've never had that problem because they've considered me a sister and they've always watched over me.